Hello everyone, my name is Keith Webster and today I'm going to show you how to use the Home Ribbon tab in Microsoft Word and how to save a document in Microsoft Word. Word is basically a word processor that allows you to create documents in a variety of ways. You can use it to create resumes, you can use it to write cover letters, you can create documents for academic purposes for like term papers or essays. You can also create documents for presentations for clients or reports, things of that nature. So let's just get started on that. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the Home Ribbon, which allows you to do a variety of options. And for today's lesson, I'm just going to focus on the font size, bold, italics, underline, as well as the highlighting, text, and how to change the font color. So let's say I want to create a document, but I want to make the changes into a sentence for purposes of presenting this particular lesson. So what I want to do is click into the Word document template. And as you can see, it allows me to write in a sentence here with the type. I'm going to type in this basic sentence here. This is an example of Microsoft Word. Okay, so I want to make changes to this sentence right here. What I could do is I could do one of two things. I can either highlight the text with my arrow here, or I can simply use my control pad and click shift and left arrow. So I'm going to do that. Let's click shift and L and the left arrow. And now as the text is highlighted, I can make changes to it. Now I can do one of two ways to make sure this text shows in the Home Ribbon tab in both the template and in the Home Ribbon tab. What I can do is I can right click on here, and as you can see, the Home Ribbon tab shows the capabilities of changes here, or I can show it up here where the text and font can be changed as well. So let's say I want to do it in the Home Ribbon tab. First thing I want to do is change the font body. I can click on this font arrow right here, or I can click Control, Shift, and F to pick a new font for the text. So I'm going to click on the down arrow here. And as you can see, the different fonts pop up in alphabetical order, and some of them, if some of the fonts that you may like, you may have to download depending on what type of word processor you may be using, like 2016 or 365, or they can have a font that's already been imported into Word automatically. So I'm going to choose one that's already in Word without worrying about downloading any fonts. So I'm going to choose Arial. As you can see here, it changed the font to Arial. Now let's say I want to change the font size. What I can do is one of two things. I can either click on this arrow right here, or I can click Control, Shift, and P to change the size of the text. So I'm going to click on this arrow here. And as you can see, the font size change goes from small to large. So I can go from small all the way up to however big I want the font size to be. I'm going to choose 14. Now let's say I want to make the text a little bit bold. I can do one or two things. I can either hit Control B for the font size to be bold, or I can click on the bold B arrow to make the text bold. So I'm going to click Control B. As you can see now, the text is bold and it's given more emphasis of importance into your Word document. Now let's say I want to make the font italicized. I can do one or two things again. I can either Control I to italicize the text, or I can click on the I button here. I'm going to do that. Now let's say I want to make the text have a line underneath it. Same thing before. I can either click Control U to make the underlined text, or I can click on the arrow to choose a different kind of underline to make the text unique in its purpose. So I can either make it single line, I can make it double line, I can have a bolder line, a very bolded line, or dotted line, however we want. I'm going to choose single line. Okay, now that that's done, let's say I want to make the text in a different color. What I can do is I can click on the A arrow right here, A button for the font color to change the color of the text, or I can click on the arrow right here to change the font color. So I'm going to do that. As you can see now, the text is automatically in black. Let's say I want to change it to red. What I can do is one of two things. I can either do a color change from here from standard colors, or I can click on more colors and to create a more custom standard color to choose from in this particular color pattern. So I'm going to go back click on the arrow, and then I'm clicking on the red button here. As you can see, it changes the font and color into red. Now let's say I want to highlight this particular text. What I can do is I go right here to the text highlight color, click on the arrow, and it gives me an option of colors to choose from to make the highlighted text. As you can see, the text really has very basic highlighted colors, so I'm going to use this yellow one to make it more clear. As you can see now, the yellow text is highlighted, but it also has the red font as well. Now you can do this by taking these changes either in the Home tab ribbon right here in this section, or you can click on you can actually highlight the text again by clicking Control right or Control left, I should say, depending on how long your sentence is going to be, or whatever line you want to edit, and click on. And at this point, you can right click on it, or the box will come up itself right here to allow you to make changes into that particular sentence. Now notice that in this box it has the bullets and the numbering. Now the bullets and numbering are different in variation because the bullet only indicates emphasis on what you're trying to show, and the bullet list, the number list, actually shows the numbers of steps or sequences regarding that particular emphasis. So let's say I want to add a bullet point to it. I could do one of two things. I can either click on the down arrow and choose a bullet already, or I can choose a library of different bullets and use that particular one for each emphasis and click on that, or I don't have to click any bullets at all. So let's say I don't click on it. Same thing with numbering. The difference in numbering is that it also has numbers as well as letters into its numbering pattern. So I can either choose a numbering pattern from 1, 2, and 3, or I can choose a library of different numbering styles that includes Roman numerals 1, 2, and 3, and so on, or letters A, B, and C, and so on, just to show that there's differences in sequences in referencing different lists in a particular document that you want to emphasize as well. So I'm going to click None. Now let's say I want to change the formatting of the paragraphs in each sentence. So let's go from here, and let's go up here where it says paragraph and paragraph settings. Now as you can see, now this paragraph setting allows me to indicate the different structures of paragraphs of showing it either by the spacing or by the amount of indenting in each paragraph, and how the text is going to be aligned as you read from top to bottom. So let's say I want to change the line spacing here. What I can do is go down to where it says line spacing, and I want to make this a single space line spacing. So what I do is I click on single, and that changes the line spacing. And let's say I don't want to add space between paragraphs of the same style. What that means is that as you're writing a paragraph and you finish that paragraph style, the next paragraph that you type is not going to be affected by the indicator of the font size or the way the spacing of each word sentence is formatted. So I want to click on that, make sure that the paragraphs don't space out too much, they don't space out too wide as I'm typing. So then I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to show you exactly what happens here. So as I am writing, let's say if I keep this formatted from the bold font to the color scheme to the highlighted text, I can type a new sentence here and write as follows. The paragraph at this point are changed into single space. Now as you can see, as I've made the change in the paragraph to make it single space, the font and the wording of the text doesn't change. But if I want to make it double space, I can highlight this particular sentence, this particular paragraph, and go back to paragraph settings, or I can right click on it and click paragraph down here. And as you can see, it comes up with the options of changing the spacing again. So let's say I want to make it to a double space. Click on double here on this where the line spacing is at, and then click OK. As you can see now, the spacing is done in double space, and there's a space between the text as well as the alignment of each paragraph. So at this point on, as I write a new paragraph, the double space is indicated, and I can continue on writing another paragraph by saying, this is a new paragraph. Now, since this is a quick demonstration, I can easily change the font and color scheme back to its original black text by simply highlighting it and going to see where the font, italics, underline space is indicated. I can easily click on those and change it back to its original form. And I can also take out the highlighted text by clicking on the arrow and then hitting no color. And this takes out the highlighted text. I could also change the font back to from red to black by simply clicking on the arrow, clicking black. Now, as you can see that the font colors have changed, the paragraph scheme has changed into double space, the font is still the same as Arial, and I still have the font size as 14. You can change it at however length you want, and this is totally up to you depending on your type of project you're doing or document you want to format in. And this is basically the end of this lesson. However you want to see your document finished, it could look like a variety of different things. Like I said before, resume, a cover letter, and perhaps a document report. I'm going to show you an example of what one could look like once done. And as you can see, I have a cover letter that shows my skills and experience within the field of instructional design. So as you can see, I have a Arial font as well as an underline text, text line space here that separates my information, my address, and other contact information, as well as the body of my cover letter as well. And you can do this however you feel you like, but this is just an example of how it looks like. But just to give you an idea, this is how the Microsoft Word usually works. Like I said before, it can be used in a laptop or PC, so you can do it either way. The only difference is the way you're going to save it, and I'm going to show you an example of how to save as well. So once you've done your document, you click on File and then Save As. And let's say we want to save it into this PC, or I want to browse a different PC. So I'm going to click on this PC and see if there's a couple of folders here that's open up. Let's say I want to do a new folder. So I click on New Folder, and as you can see, I have a sample document already saved, but I want to save one for this particular project as well. So I'm going to click Sample Word Doc 1, and then I'm going to click Save. And as you can see, the document is saved, and I can go continue writing on there and make changes as I'm going along, and save it as I'm writing, or I can exit out of it and open it up again at a later date and work on it some more. So that concludes our presentation of Microsoft Word. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thank you again for watching. So until then, have a great one.